name is Edwin Mushai. I'm head of CIB in Uganda. And one of my direct reports, the head of TPS, Emma, is the person I'm going to talk about. When I came to Uganda, she was one of the first people I worked with quite closely. There was something we were actually trying to sort out. The simplest way to summarize Emma is what I call understated brilliance. And I say that because I think she is exceptionally talented. She's led TPS from being an under 100 billion revenue business to, I think, 200 billion by the end of next year. If there was one thing I would say that Emma should perhaps consider is taking on tough things and things that she doesn't enjoy in particular, like managing risk, rather than all the time being at the front line of all exciting stuff in the liabilities space.
I have the honor of introducing Catherine Asinde. I met Catherine when I joined the bank about 3.5 years ago. Catherine is a career standard banker. She joined the bank probably as a teller and has grown through the ranks over the last 14 years. Catherine is a new head of client coverage, and she's this person that has institutional memory. So she's the one that tells us why things are, how things are, where they started from. And she's my go-to person for a bit of history from the deals that we have been doing. And she has very deep and insightful relationships, especially in government. She has such an influence on the team. I'll give you an example. So we have this crazy annual team build, and you can imagine that for most of that weekend, everybody is closest to their drunkest. But Catherine has the amazing ability to influence us on the Sunday morning to wake up and pray together and just commit the next year to the higher power. The only thing that I don't like about Catherine is that she went to the rival high school. Otherwise, she is a very good colleague to work with, and I really enjoy sitting next to her.
Hi, I need no introduction. My job is simple today. It's to introduce Paul Muganwa, our head of investment banking. He is a one-man show, you know, so that means he is smart. But here's the thing. He is approachable, he is friendly, and sometimes a team player. Paul, if you're listening, you need to hire some additional resources. The portfolio is getting bigger. That's all I have to say about Paul. Cheerio.
I have been bestowed the privilege of introducing the great Anne Juko. Anne is tenacious, she's engaged, and she's a very fair person. She recently closed a very big deal that made a significant impact on the business in 2016, the interest rate swap. I don't know how many people have an appreciation for what it took to convince the government of Uganda to do something it's never done before and to do it within the timelines that it was executed. Anne is engaged, and she tends to be for the team a barometer of what's happening with number one government, and more importantly, what's happening internally with the team. A good listener, and so she'll get a feel for changing trends and tides amongst the team long before anybody. That attribute is extended to clients. The clients that she's chosen to have a deep relationship with really treasure her contribution, and they tend to prefer to talk to her and only her. And then lastly, Anne is fair. Surprisingly, she's very balanced and knows when to push hard, when to step back, when to change, when to be flexible. Now, on a personal note, Anne is probably one of my closest friends in the bank. Whenever I'm looking for an honest opinion on either the quality of my work, the robustness of a strategy I've adopted, or very, very personal issues, family, home, the one person I know that will give me an honest opinion and will deliver it in an appropriate manner is Andrew.
Okay, so we drew straws and I got the short one. So that's how I ended up with the unenviable task of having to describe my boss. In the past 2 or so years I've been working with Edwin, I have kind of come up with a Mushai index. And this index is exactly describes who he is and how he works. The first part of this index is how inquisitive Edwin is. The number of questions Edwin will ask you about a particular subject matter or project you bring to him is directly proportional to his level of interest. So when we first started, I sort of misinterpreted it as like, there's too many questions. Where is he going with all this? But then increasingly I learned that Edwin asks questions which beget questions, which get you thinking about things that you were not thinking before and bring you to new insights. And the second part of my index is just how generous he is with his feedback. Edwin will give you feedback unfiltered, unpolitical. You always know where you stand with Edwin at all times on any subject matter. If you stop and say, Edwin, what's your take on this? He'll say, I think this and the other. The third part of the Edwin Index is his genuine love and interest in people. He really takes time to find out how you are, how you're doing, you as a person before you get into the office. And this I continue to learn from him, because it's one of the areas I struggle with. I usually just cut to the chase. And he's teaching me. I'm just watching him. I'm learning how to cultivate deep relationships with the people I work with, because that's the only way you get the best out of people. So that's one of the things that Edwin has actually brought to the Uganda team. Last but not least, Edwin is what we call a triple B. It's a wonderful thing. Triple B is a beer buying boss, and he does that quite a lot. And we have numerous bonding sessions when he does that triple B thing, and we really appreciate him for that. The government of Uganda undertook a huge venture, 600 megawatt dam on Karuma Falls on the River Nile. And this is going to transform lives for many Ugandans. One of the things that would make it a landmark transaction is the fact that, one, we're doing a derivative in a market that doesn't regulate for derivatives. Two, we were doing a derivatives for the first time. Government of Uganda has never hedged before. Number three, the size was not small. The total transaction was $645 million, and we were chosen to be the lead arranger. But never mind all that. For me, the one aspect that stood out is how everybody rallied around this transaction. In country, out of country, at center, at the region, everybody. There is no door that we knocked on to get support, and we didn't get support for this. The other part that I want to point out is how we fared compared to competition. But on this particular transaction, again, we were head and shoulders above everybody else all through the transactions. It was first in class across. And last but not least, the cherry on top of this cake is the back-end risk management. To know that you can do something like this, make it profitable, and still have zero credit risk on your books. I think that's really amazing.
So the universal banking concept for Uganda has landed really well, because we had really started working together across the two businesses. The best thing that has happened for us is when setting up the business bank in line with the sectors in CIB. And as such, universal banking becomes easier to do, because then you have a team, you have a CST in CIB that has a corresponding relationship manager in business banking. UBL is part of the Diageo group and is a beer company in the market that has slightly under 50% of market share. Their distribution network is their pride and the core of their business, and trying to get all the distributors and products for the distributors that gets them into Stanbic is what we're really proud of. UBL has supported us on this journey. They've been able to give us the information. Our business bankers have gone out and actually recruited the ones that we didn't have on board. We've been able to provide products that keep them banking with us and supporting the mother company. We've also looked at beyond the distributors, who else supplies UBL, who are their key influencers in the company, staff members, and we're looking at an ecosystem that is about 80% banking with Stanbic at the moment.
What else is going to happen to the business going forward? I think what's really exciting us and what's keeping us awake at night is what we're going to do in oil and gas. Everything we meet and speak to is massive, it's huge, it's never been done before. And yesterday we were told by a client, a potential client rather, that we're going to have effectively 125,000 pieces of pipe being transported from Mombasa to Uganda. And just imagining what that is actually 9,000 trucks. Maybe it was done in one go. So that kind of stuff really keeps us excited. I think we're going to transform this bank, and I trust and believe we will be the largest CIB franchise in Africa if we do get everything that we are doing right. I think this is probably one of the most cohesive teams I have ever worked in my life, actually, and I've worked in many places. And the one thing that stands out for CIB Uganda is the cohesiveness in the team, and everyone genuinely actually cares for each other. So to me that is extremely exciting, and being part of this team, we will be tested on our togetherness this year given the challenges we have with revenue, but I am sure we will come good for it.
Stanbic Bank, moving forward.